what are the taxpayers going to get out of this in addition to a new stadium?
That was 100% the driving force of me advocating for a community benefits agreement. Let's keep in mind that the last time prior to 2023's deal, 2023, when we negotiated this most recent lease deal, the county renegotiated a lease extension at the current stadium with the Buffalo Bills to the tune of $130 million. Taxpayers invested, didn't get a reinvestment commitment out of the Bills for that deal. So when you fast forward to 2023, and I was the chair of the legislature, and there had been talks for about 2 years at that time of Pagula Sports and Entertainment, the governor and the county executive having these ideas and entertaining this conversation about possibly bringing a new stadium to Buffalo and Erie County. Most of us said, let's put it in the city of Buffalo. By the time I got to the negotiation table, I could see that that train had left the station and that idea would not come to pass. And I began to think, well, if we're going to ask Bills fans out of Western New York to pay twice for this stadium, $250 million of their county tax dollars and $600 million of their state tax dollars going into this multi-billion-dollar establishment, what are they going to get in return? And that's when I began to do research with my team about sports arena community benefits agreement. I saw that they had been happening all over the country. There were some that have been done in Buffalo and Erie County even prior to our first NFL one. And I thought now is the time to negotiate that, just so that the Bills fans get a return on their investment.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because it's not just obviously Bills fans. Bills fans are going to be the ones who really get to enjoy the stadium, but there are people living in Western New York who might not necessarily be football fans and taking part in this stadium. So at least they are still going to, fingers crossed, get something out of it, and that is thanks to the CBA. I want to talk a little bit about the fact that you have been able to recently travel and kind of take a look at what other places are doing. Can you share a little bit more about that, where you went and what you were able to kind of take away from these trips?
Sure, it was a great trip. But just to back up as to your previous comment, as a lifelong Buffalonian and a daughter of Buffalo, I don't think there's anybody in Western New York that is not a Bills fan.
Listen, this show has to cater to everybody. Trust me. It hurt me saying it too. I
totally get it. But I think the pool of folks that are not Bills fans is very small in Buffalo, New York. But I did, and I'm fighting for them. I did have the privilege to travel to New York City in recent because the Bills administration has changed from those that were at the negotiation table when the CBA was passed and negotiated. And before I approached the new administration with my concerns about the implementation of the CBA after 2 years of its passage, I wanted to research around the state what other stadiums are doing, just to make sure that there is a model in New York State that can showcase that the work that we're asking the Bills to do and the investments that we're asking them to invest in are actually attainable. I went to New York City a couple months ago, and I got to tour Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and I got to tour the forthcoming site of Metropolitan Park, which will be the entertainment complex in Queens, New York, which is being led by Mets owner Steve Cohen. And what I found in the plans for Metropolitan Park, as well as what is already established in Brooklyn at Barclays Center, is a lot of the things that we are calling on the Bills to do, which are outlined in their legally binding community benefits agreement. The two things that stood out the most, Marlee, was one, entertaining an opportunity for small marginalized restaurant owners to have small right-sized concessionaire contracts that meet their capacity. A game day experience is a lot for a small business owner, but it doesn't mean that there can't be space in our stadium for them to have some form of customer experience, showcase their products, and be a part of our new stadium. And that is actually in Barclays Center, separate from the major concessionaires portion of the arenas. There is a small little dining area where there are several counters which are designated for Brooklyn-based small mom and pop owned restaurants to come in, and sell their food to the public at large. Also at Barclay Center, there is rotating public art space, and our community benefits agreement calls on the Buffalo Bills to have a public artist using local artists paid component, as I've always been a champion that local artists are small business owners too. And right in the entryway of Barclay Center, before you get to the retail establishment where they also allow small business owners to house some of their retail products, there's a huge gallery space that often changes its exhibits, and what it does is it hosts artwork from local Brooklyn-based artists. So all of those things are actually codified in our community benefits agreement. I have not seen a plan from the Bills yet that shows us that that will actually come to pass by the time we cut the ribbon in a couple months on the new stadium. So it is something that I wanted to look back on and make sure that we are getting done. I specifically looked for things in these stadiums in New York City that I know were already reflected in our legally binding agreement. So I wasn't up there looking for new ideas. I mean, it's a business deal. It's signed and it's done. It outlines exactly what the Bills have to do. Whether or not the Bills are doing it to their ability that meets the expectations of the residents of Erie County is really what we're talking about right now. If somebody were to ask me, are the Bills abiding by the community benefits agreement? In short, the answer is yes. The way that they are implementing it, the style in which they are including community, or the structure around the programs that they are implementing, that is really where there is a little bit of disappointment from myself, who was somebody that was the architect and sat down with previous leadership from the Bills, and we had a different agreement in mind. In terms of the Buffalo Bills being able to actually achieve what is in the CBA, I do believe that they have the bandwidth and the finances to do it. The Bills have most recently had a valuation of a little under $6 billion. What we're asking for in terms of programming, in terms of grants, and in terms of really intimate inclusion of the community in the new stadium experience is basically a drop in the bucket. So it was important for me to tour the state. I'm still going to go to other places in the state, but New York seemed like a good place to start, downstate New York City. Assess what's going on, look for particular programs in stadiums across the state that actually reflect programs that are outlined in the CBA, because you can't really change it. It's been signed and voted on, and I think it's a good deal. I just think that we need to have more conversations with the new folks that are at the table with the Bills, and we need to continue to encourage the community to come out to the public meetings that the Bills hold on the CBA every single month, and we just have to continue to work together. Maybe we call an audible, we relook at our game plan, and we figure out a way to help us, get our touchdown, our win. I want Bills to win on the field, but I want the Bills fans to win off the field. And the best way that Bills fans can win off the field is when their quality of life is improved. And the community benefits agreement is actually a conduit to improve the quality of life of all Western New Yorkers, whether they're silly enough to not be a Bills fan or not.
I'm not going to live that comment down ever.
Yes, the appetite to deliver for Western New York is there from the Bills. And to be quite honest, it's been there prior to the 2023 lease deal agreement. The Bills have a long history of philanthropic charitable giving. The Bills Foundation does phenomenal things across our community. There is very, very specific things within the community benefits agreement that needs to be improved in terms of giving. And I personally don't believe that we should be swapping them out from the Bills Foundation, meaning if something was a practice of the Bills Foundation, the Bills Foundation, in my opinion, should not be a conduit for the giving that is affiliated with the community benefits agreement. And, that's a matter of nuance, semantics, and looking at the deal intimately. But I don't believe that we're not going to get to a place with these new folks who are over at the Bills where we start to, again, get back towards a game plan where we all are going to win. The most recent meeting that I had with the Bills, their community engagement team was present, their legal team was present, and the new COO, Pete Guelli, was present. And I left that meeting feeling confident that we are going to re-engage on programming and community inclusion. And we are going to work hard to make sure that we're not doing just the bare minimum or doing enough so that we are implementing CBA goals just to the letter of the law, but we are also implementing them in a way that reflects the spirit in which the CBA was written. There is an appetite there from the Bills, and I am excited to begin to work with them. Anything that has to do with the Bills, when you're from Buffalo and Western New York, it's exciting. It's going to grab your attention. The Buffalo Bills just absolutely have a brand that transcends economic status. It transcends race. I mean, it really doesn't matter if you're from Lackawanna, Tonawanda, the east or west side of Buffalo, Orchard Park, anywhere from in the Western New York region. You know, you love the Bills, and to me, they have a responsibility to take that loyalty that the fans have for them and make sure that they are doing their best to win us the Super Bowl, but also bring us together and make us a strong community. I think the privilege for me is being able to represent all parts of Erie County in this deal. It has less to do with being in proximity to the Bills and more about this once in a generation opportunity to have this legally binding document that was crafted with the county legislature and the county executive and the governor for such a moment in time where we actually have things like affordable housing, youth programming, crime reduction, small business inclusion, you know, all these unconventional things that are in a legally binding document with our local NFL team. And that I have the opportunity to be at the table and to advocate for Bills fans and for taxpayers to get those things given to them in the best package and in the most realistic, rewarding way as possible. So for me, that's the win. That's the major touchdown. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to serve.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all of this insight. I think it's really important that people stay informed as this continues to go on. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Thank you, Marlee. Thanks for having me.